Hello everybody, welcome back to the Energy Connect studio at Gastech 2025 here in Milan. My name is Rebecca McLaughlin-Eastham and I'm delighted to say that my special guest in the studio now is the US Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright. Thank you for talking to Energy Connect today.
Great to be here, Rebecca.
It's wonderful to see you on the ground. It's such a huge US contingent also. Let me start by talking about natural gas and LNG, such a focus of discussions, not least the ones you've been involved with. The States is ploughing hundreds of billions of dollars into the space and also plans to double its LNG exports in the next 4 to 5 years. Talk to me about your demand forecasts and how the US plans to lead on this.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's huge dollar amounts. The United States is huge believers in the future of natural gas. Just look at the transformation of our country. We went from less than 20 years ago, we were the largest importer in the world, and now we're the largest exporter in the world. And as you just said, we're going to double those exports in the next 5 years. And we have permitting ability to double it again. But the reason for that is if you look at the last 15 years since the financial crisis, the fastest growing energy source on the planet is natural gas. It's more than twice as much new energy in the last 15 years than wind, solar, and batteries combined. So natural gas is the hot fuel these days. It has been for the last 15 years, probably will be for a few decades more.
With rapidly increasing demand for AI and, of course, other industries, talk to me about how you're planning to meet the demand through natural gas, LNG and nuclear in particular.
Yeah, in the short run in the United States, the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, that's dominantly going to come from expansions in natural gas. But I'm very passionate about nuclear power. You know, it came out in the mid-50s. It grew strongly for 2 or 3 decades. Then it just got hamstrung. Some safety concerns, I think overwrought safety concerns, and a government regulatory smothering. So a key thing for the Trump administration is we want to unsmother nuclear and allow that technology to get moving again. You've got to build up a supply chain again and efficiencies to drive down cost. That takes time, but we better get that ball moving now.
I want to pick up on permitting. You mentioned it earlier, and permitting reform has been a key pledge of this current administration. Talk to me about how you balance the need for speed and investment certainty, but also safeguard the interests of communities and the environment at the end of the day.
No, you're absolutely right. The safety of operations, minimizing environmental impact and getting the community involved, those things are critical, but those things can be done in a timely fashion. Permitting in the old days, would take a week, and then maybe 30 years ago, it took a month or two. Then this NEPA, environmental regulation in the U.S., got weaponized, and now stuff drags out for years. That's not additional community consultation. That's not additional environmental benefit. That's just lawfare. So we're going to remove that weaponization of it and do a thoughtful environmental and safety reviews, but those can be done in a timely fashion, several months, not several years.
You've described AI in the past as the Manhattan Project 2, or the Manhattan Project of our time. The opportunities are clear, but highlight some of the challenges that you see. And in terms of international collaboration and partnerships, such a key theme of Gastech 2025, how do you see international players getting involved, not only with energy tech, but also investment in the years ahead?
I've called it Manhattan Project 2 because the effort to develop the atomic bomb during World War II was very fast, an incredible group science effort, but it was critical that we didn't get second. If the United States lagged behind and Nazi Germany developed an atomic bomb before the United States, what would our world be today? We have similar concerns with China today. It's a great trading partner and a powerful nation, but if China jumps into the lead on AI and they're the most powerful nation in the world, I worry about that world. We want to make sure the United States and our allies here in Europe and in Asia, that together we maintain a large lead in AI. And I think we can do that. The capital is there, the private businesses are there, the scientists are there. The problem is the energy. We need to be able to develop new electricity in the United States fast. China's been bombing ahead and rapidly growing their electrical generating capacity. We haven't had much growth in 20 years. So we need to pivot on a dime. We need to permit and allow people to build large things in the U.S., but that's what the Trump administration is all about, moving fast.
Secretary Wright, you've called net zero by 2050 a colossal train wreck, and its targets are completely unrealistic. Yet so many nations have signed up to its goals. Talk to me about what a credible long-term emissions pathway does look like to you.
It's a drive to ever more affordable, ever more reliable, and ever cleaner energy. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. When I was a kid, I couldn't see the mountains 1 out of 3 days. Here we are, 50 years later, the population's tripled, the wealth has increased massively, and the air is just giantly cleaner in Denver. So of course we want technologies that clean air, but greenhouse gases are different than pollutants. You can't have life on Earth without carbon dioxide. It's plant food. It's what we're made out of. So it does absorb infrared radiation. We do want to be concerned about it. We do want to monitor it, but we got 50%, we got 85% of our energy from hydrocarbons last year, same as we did 50 years ago. It's not easy to transform the energy system. We simply don't have replacements today that are affordable, reliable to replace hydrocarbons. And in generations, ultimately we'll develop nuclear energy. It'll build up to scale. We might even make hydrocarbon molecules using nuclear energy, which means they'll be net zero. You'll pull CO2 out of the atmosphere, assemble a hydrocarbon, combust it, and return it to the atmosphere. But that's a few generations away. We can't impoverish our citizens today, compromise our national security, all in, if you run the math, all to make the world a few hundredths of a degree cooler 3 generations from now. That's just not a rational evaluation of trade-offs.
We sit here in Milan, but in Rome recently, the US and Italy signed a deal to deepen energy cooperation. Talk to me about the benefits for American producers, also European buyers.
I think it's to bring trade, level the trade playing field between our countries. I want to see tons of European exports go into the United States and tons of American exports come into the European Union. That's certainly our goal. And look, Europe developed dangerous dependence on Russia. 50% of their natural gas, a large amount of their oil, a meaningful amount of their coal, all came from Russia. The United States' LNG industry ramping up is there to help fill that hole that Russian gas provided. We're an ally, not an adversary. We want to supply that energy here. We can do the same thing with oil. We can work together and export nuclear technologies here as well. So we absolutely want to grow our cooperation and energy exports from the United States into Europe, top on President Trump's agenda.
Let me ask you about secondary tariffs or additional sanctions on the buyers of Russian energy in particular. Could they have the desired effect? And if not, then what other options are on the table?
For tariffs and sanctions to work, we all have to work together. If the United States stops Russian exports to everywhere we control, but they still come into Europe, that's not very effective. So we need to work together, the Asian nations, the European nations, and the United States, to put as much pressure, financial pressure as we can on Putin. Look, everybody wants to end that war in Ukraine. It is a tragedy to see the rate of murder and destruction in that country. And the faster we can bring that war to an end, the better for everyone, including for the Russian people. But that's going to take pressure, and that's going to take going out on a limb. I think what's going to happen, of course, is a lot of Russian energy exports will go to China. That's fine. That's fine. Natural gas takes infrastructure to move it. They're going to build a new natural gas pipeline. That'll take them 5, 6, or 7 years. They had 4 pipelines going to Europe. So that still restricts Russia's ability to export its natural gas a lot. Some of it will go to China. A lot of it will be bottled up, and they won't be able to sell. And that's what we want.
Lastly, Secretary Wright, talk to me about where you'd like to see the oil price given recent market volatility, the production increase by OPEC, and also talk of a glut in the coming months.
We do want a world well supplied with oil, well supplied with natural gas, and well supplied with coal, so we don't have spikes in energy prices. Those impinge on people's lives and affordability and their opportunities in life. We're seeing a lot of OPEC spare capacity come onto the market, but in the long run, that's healthy for the oil market. There's not as much spare capacity on the sidelines. I'm bullish on economic growth going forward, and that's what drives demand for oil.
We have to leave our conversation there, but thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you again at Gastech.
Thank you. It was really a fantastic conference. I congratulate you for a show well done, a great crowd of people from across the ecosystem here, and a lot of fascinating dialogues today. Thank you, Rebecca.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much,
Real
Secretary.
Joy.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap of my conversation with US Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. And for more interviews like this, just head to energyconnects.com, follow us on social media or on LinkedIn. I'll see you soon.